Listen, I mean, absolutely, before anybody takes me out of context, I mean, absolutely nothing negative about Mercedes, the pro wrestler. She is one of the greatest of all time. One of the best women's, I said this, I could fucking puke how many times I said this. The greatest women's match of all time at TakeOver Brooklyn, #1 with Bayley. The most influential match ever for women.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Millennial Smark, and I'm bringing you the slop, the whole slop, and nothing but the slop. I'm just going to throw this out really quick. We have not heard from JD from New York. Personally, I don't follow his channel. I don't follow his content, but I hear people talk about him. I see him here and there on Twitter and on X when his criticisms are being relayed, right? He's one of the bigger voices within the community. One of the bigger voices, if for nothing else, who at least, if for nothing else, I know he can be a bit, from my understanding, seeing his content, he could be a bit wishy-washy, but it seems like at the very least, he's starting to lay down more criticism on AEW, when I know for a fact, I could be wrong, but I swear to God, I've seen the guy legitimately sucking Tony Khan's dick like not even 3 or 4 years ago. But better late than never, right? That's not here nor there. Now, I thought because I didn't even want to cover the video because I didn't understand, did he confirm it? Did he go out of his way to confirm it? And then I was like, okay, let me do a little bit of research. I know she has the 4 titles. Are any of those belts related to House of Glory? And I looked it up. No, none of the belts are related to House of Glory. So this is like her first appearance, right? Or her second appearance, maybe. I'm not sure. But she is going to have a match with WWE's or former WWE talent, Indy Hartwell, right? And apparently the word on the street, right, the scuttlebutt, if you will, is that she went out of her way to remove homie from commentary. Now, again, I did my research just to make sure, because again, it's hard to suggest when JD himself hasn't spoke on it. I'm not sure if he's going to speak on it. I can't believe, because people are suggesting there could be a shot that House of Glory took him off. Well, yeah, no shit. But why did they take him off? People are suggesting, well, he could have took himself off. Why would he take himself off? You see the intro, right? I left that intro there because I wanted to show him in good faith. I wanted to be charitable towards him. And I wanted you guys to understand that even though I've been seeing him for maybe about a year, maybe even longer, going after AEW and criticizing them, just like, by the way, being fair and consistent, he criticizes WWE a lot also, right? But in the case of Mercedes Mone, he might criticize her, but he's doing so very similar to how I criticize Chris Jericho, where it's I'm going to acknowledge his history and his legacy, but I'm also going to tell you right now, with this particular segment, with this particular promo, with this particular match, Chris Jericho fucking sucks, while acknowledging that he is one of the all-time GOATs and one of my favorites. Well, my favorite. Whereas with JD, I think he does the same thing with Sasha Banks. As I laid out in that intro, he's going to acknowledge that she's one of the greatest, if not the greatest women's wrestler of all time. Not my opinion, his opinion, right? He suggests that the best women's match of all time, which I do agree with, is Bayley and Sasha Banks from Brooklyn back in 2015. He put her over supremely. I think he likes her a lot as a wrestler. Call me crazy. And I don't know, as a guy who does commentary gigs for, an indie promotion, a guy who's a fan of a wrestler, call me crazy, I think he wants to commentate her match. Just throwing it out there. And now he's not commentating her match. And then I see a bunch of X accounts, I'm seeing a lot of people on Reddit pretty much confirming the fact that one of the prerequisites for Mercedes Mone even going to House of Glory, I gotta read you some of these comments, by the way, because it's unbelievable the amount it's just crazy the amount of people who are legitimately applauding this without even thinking to themselves how fucking insane they sound. Like, you do recognize how fucking pitiful and how fucking soft you sound. One of the prerequisites, apparently, was JD from New York couldn't do commentary for Mercedes Moné's match against Indy Hartwell. She wouldn't allow it. In order for her to even show up in House of Glory and do a spot for them, JD can't be there. And again, people are saying it has more to do with the fact that JD from New York goes after AEW. Okay. And I'm not sure if JD from New York has, a contract with them or if he's paid on a, per appearance. But that's fucked up. Because either you took money out of that man's pockets because you're soft as fuck, or B, you took money out of his pocket, and or you just stopped that man from showing himself and introducing himself to a wider audience. Because if Mercedes shows up at House of Glory, we're not just talking about the fans who are going to show up, but we're talking about people who are going to probably view that show more than ever because Mercedes on the show. I'm not saying she's a huge draw, but she'll be a big draw for that particular show, for that particular indie territory. She will, because she's a former WWE wrestler. She's currently probably arguably the top women's wrestler in AEW, arguably in the world. Yeah, of course, there's going to be a lot of eyes on that. And going up against a former WWE talent at that, of course, there's going to be eyes on the product at that time. It's like, I don't know. It's like her mind, the way they think, her mind is like she doesn't want to reward JD, bruh, because he talks shit about AEW, bruh, and the clowns, the absolute fucking buffoonery of some of the not even just the AEW stands, just the hardcore fucking marks, bruh. Like, it's look at this dude. It's this guy named AO, or King AO. He is one of the first people I've seen talk about this. He tweeted out this: House of Glory did the right thing and kicked JD from New York off of commentary before Mercedes Moné graced their ring for her match. Bro, I mean, it's not COVID anymore, my nigga. We got tissue. She doesn't need to use your tongue to wipe her ass anymore. Like, come on, my nigga. What are you doing, bro? Like, you can like a wrestler or hate a wrestler, but just speak morally about the situation and just say to yourself, right is right and wrong is wrong. Now, granted, albeit for me to extend charitability to the IWC to know how to do the moral thing, because these people are fucking psychopaths for the most part, right? Right? They take the smallest, again, I love talking about this because it's true. It's true when it comes to these people. If you say anything about an immutable characteristic in any negative way, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's skin color, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's, sex or gender, you can even pretend to have a sex or a certain gender, doesn't matter the case. If you say anything about that, that person is perceived to be a victim. You are talking down to that person because it's written within their rule book that you can't say anything about that person, no matter the discrepancy in regards to what influence said person has versus the other person. It doesn't matter. The immutable characteristic takes over everything because it's all about identity. They use that as a way to club you over and over and over and over again into submission. It's bullshit. I don't give a fuck if JD from New York said that Sasha Banks eats the amount of dicks that should probably get her into, I don't know, the Guinness of World Records, but he can say whatever the fuck he wants to say negatively about the talent. As long as he's not going out of his way to take money out of that talent's pocketbook, to go out of his way to ruin that talent's position, it's bullshit, bruh. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I would like to know, for an example, if Mercedes Moné was in WWE right now, right? I heard she had a bit of a riffraff with Alexa Bliss back in the days. Now, if I remember correctly, you go around that 2017, 2018 period, say whatever you want about Mercedes Mone today, but around that time frame, mind you, this is after Brooklyn. This is when Mercedes did her stuff with Charlotte. For a little while, people forget, Mercedes was in the mid-card in the women's division. That was actually one of the biggest criticisms about how WWE was booking her and Bayley at the time going throughout 2018 with their never-ending bullshit story about being forever, Teletubby forever. And Alexa Bliss, next to Charlotte, arguably were two of the hottest women wrestlers in the world at that time. And Mercedes, say whatever you want to say about her, came off like she was a hater. She came off like she was fucking jealous. Constantly, from my understanding, again, scuttlebutt, can't confirm if you guys want to. Apparently, Mercedes Mone constantly just berated Alexa Bliss for essentially not really being a legitimate fan of professional wrestling. And she believed, for the most part, she kind of just seems like a stan and just doing it for the fame and for the clout. And she's number one, being a stan, doing it for the fame and the clout. Now, who's to suggest at that point in time that Alexa Bliss could have probably took that the wrong way? Could have probably suggested that she was in fear of her life, my fear for my life, or something of that credible notion that could have done something to harm Mercedes Mone. Not to say that it would have been true, not to say that she could have had that influence, but I'm suggesting, just a suggestion, Mercedes Mone went out of her way to criticize Alexa Bliss a bunch of times. Again, a lot of people confirm this shit. If that could have been flipped to Mercedes Mone not being booked this much because she herself keeps going after our star woman right now, how will Mercedes Mone feel about that? How will the Mercedes stans feel about that? Curiosity. But now that she's in power, now that she actually has say, this is how she throws around her power. See, that's how you see the real person for who they really are. That's how you see them for who they really are, bro. It's two ways. Power and money. How do they respond? And how do they react? And how do they use both of those things? And Mercedes Mone shows her true colors. Because again, from my understanding, it's not even as if JD criticizes her on a consistent basis. And if he does it out of love because he's a huge fan of hers. So it's not even like homeboy is even like for me, for an example, like if me at AEW, I can understand. I get it. I completely get it. Cause I'm going after y'all full force. I still would think it's somewhat bullshit, but I get it. At least more than JD from New York. You say that, for an example, I'm banned from coming to an AEW show or some shit. Oh yeah, I completely understand. Because I do a little bit more than what JD does as far as the criticism. I say a hell of a lot more. So I get it. From my understanding though, JD doesn't go after anything but the matches in themselves. From the commentary that I see, he just goes after the matches themselves. Maybe Tony Khan might be a separate issue and a little bit more personal for him. But as far as the wrestlers in the ring, I think he just goes after the matches and criticizes the actual matches in themselves. So, okay. It just seems like you're just soft as fuck. And apparently, the AEW faithful are cool with that. They're cool with... They're cool with being called pussies. Look at some of the other comments, bro. The comments are wild on this, man. Like the things that the people are saying. Where is it? There's another comment that I seen because one person actually stuck up for JD, and it was actually a pretty cool post. Because yeah, for sure, Mercedes having JD removed from his actual fucking job because he refuses to put the shitty company she works for and their horse shit product booked by people riddled with antidepressants over is nothing but proof that the criticism labeled towards them are 100% fucking accurate. Right? And then people quote tweeted this saying that the sad part is even when JD is critical of Mercedes, he always mentions that he's a huge fan. Okay, so I was right then. He did say that. Add the fact that JD has been nothing but supportive of Mercedes the person. Even going back to WWE, he's just been critical of Mercedes the on-screen character. He even mentioned how excited he was to do commentary for her and had a shit ton of notes as well. Okay, bad. So he didn't take himself off the show. House of Glory removed him. They haven't removed him before from any of the commentary, at least not to my acknowledgement. Why did they remove him this time? Oh, could it be the fact that Mercedes is, come on now, man. Come on, bro. Now I feel very much justified in this shit. Hell yeah, man. Look at this clown. Mercedes removed punk ass JD from commentary. From what I'm hearing, good. Fuck him. He doesn't deserve to call her matches. They're not even labeling criticism though. That's the part about the AEW fandom that I don't understand, bro. They're so fucking sensitive when it comes to this shit, bro. They're so fucking sensitive. I swear to God, they do some of the most deplorable shit possible whenever you criticize AEW or you make some joke at their expense. They do the most deplorable fucking shit, bro. Period, point blank. Like, you make a racist joke because these motherfuckers are 21 years old and they think everything is off limits when it comes to immutable characteristics. They think everything is legitimately off limits. So if you make a joke at the expense of them through any of those immutable characteristics, whether it's race, trust me, I know, I've been through it already, that automatically makes you the worst person in the world, and they get to come after your family. When you criticize AEW as a product, they get to say, oh, well, it's fine that a wrestler comes out of nowhere and takes food off your table because you criticize the product. These people are fucking deranged, man. These people are fucking insane in the head, bro. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's the type of shit that I'm talking about. But then they sit back and then they come after you and they say, you're mentally ill, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. It's all projection. It's all projection. They sit on their high horse with their anime pictures talking about how this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. They can't even keep up with their own standards as far as why they come after you sometimes, because these people are hypocritical as fuck and would do the exact same thing. They will call you retarded, which is fine. I don't give a fuck, but you don't abide by your own standards. They will call you all kinds of names that are purview or what's the word, purview? As far as how people's standards, as far as how they practice their own ideology from that side of the field, they can't even keep up with because they do the exact same thing yet they criticize us for it, and they all do it in the name of AEW. But make it a point to always try to sit there on their high horse and pretend what they're doing is justified and then say you're a bad person for it. Come on now, man. I'll just say this and I'll end it on this, man. Mercedes, you're a clown. Again, I'm not even a fan of JD. I don't follow his content. Don't really care for his content, to be honest. I'm happy that there's somebody with a bigger name who actually holds wrestling accountable. That's always going to be a good thing. And I want this channel to continue thriving because of that. Can't say I'm ever going to follow him. Probably not my cup of tea, but I get it. I understand. Still healthy for the IWC, I guess. But Mercedes, you're a clown. Like I said, House of Glory, I'm not going to hold them accountable. I'm not going to say anything bad about them because, I mean, what can you tell them? They're not, and I want people to understand this too, and I'll say it with this. Don't come after House of Glory. This is probably the biggest name House of Glory has ever had, period, point blank, in their entire company. For sure from the women's side, but might be overall, period, point blank. They can't pass up this opportunity. They can't. This could be a way to get a bunch of eyeballs on their company. I don't blame them. If someone asks you to abide by their standards, if it's plausible and it doesn't really affect you that much in the end of the day, yeah, sure. In the end of the day, JD from New York, he doesn't really affect the company all too much. I get why they did it. It was a sacrifice. I'm not gonna hold them accountable. But Sasha, Mercedes Mone, foul. You foul as fuck for that. Foul as fuck. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Catch you guys later. As always, Medusis and a P. Ice.